Last season, the Dallas Mavericks went all in, giving Luka Doncic the best teammate he's ever had. They traded for Kyrie Irving on February 6th, giving up the team's best defender, Dorian Finney-Smith, as well as the current second best player in Spencer Dinwiddie. But at the end of the day, the Mavs thought it was worth it for a talent of Kyrie's caliber. They sat at 5th place in the Western Conference at the time of the deal, and hoped taking some pressure off of Luka offensively could make them legitimate contenders in the West. However, their plan would backfire in the worst way possible. Dallas went just 10-18 after trading for Kyrie and fell all the way from 5th to 11th place in the Western Conference, and missed the play-in tournament altogether. The offensive piece wasn't the problem, as they were the 9th best offense in the NBA by offensive rating after making the deal. However, trading away the best defender on a team that was already struggling on that end seemed to have a bigger impact than they expected. Dallas had the 6th worst defense after the deal, and their offensive firepower couldn't overcome the defensive shortcomings. However, you could argue the Mavs were the winners of the offseason, and they did work to address the defense. They signed Grant Williams away from the Celtics to a 4-year, $54 million contract to be a potential upgrade of the old DFS wing defender spot. They also signed Derrick Jones Jr., who had the 2nd best defensive rating on the Bulls among players who got at least 10 minutes per game. They drafted Derrick Lively as their potential rim protector of the future, and drafted a potential great wing defender in Olivier Maxence-Prosper. So with one of the best offensive duos in the entire league with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, as well as a much improved defense and 2 key young guys who could take a step, the Mavs are going to be the contenders they hoped to be last season. The Dallas Mavericks are about to shock the NBA. Now let's take a deeper look at why. Before we get into the looming bounce-back season for the Mavs, if you enjoy my content and have watched a few videos of mine, think about subscribing. 91% of my viewers are actually not subscribed, so if you watched me before and enjoy the content, drop a sub and comment down below. It really helps the channel. I'd say a lot of people have lost faith in the Dallas Mavericks after their collapse at the end of last season, and I don't necessarily blame them for that. The way that they plummeted down the standings was difficult to watch. But both Kyrie and Luka missed time over that span, and they were clearly missing a defensive piece they needed, which they since have gotten. But the time period wasn't all bad. It allowed young guys like Josh Green and Jaden Hardy to step up and show how talented they really were. The Mavs are going to bounce back this season and reassert themselves as contenders in the Western Conference, but doing that depends on the players. So let's take a look at the impact guys for Dallas. Through 5 seasons in the NBA, Luka Doncic has been named first team All-NBA 4 times, only not receiving that honor in his rookie season, and was named Rookie of the Year in that season. I don't think it's debatable that he is a top 5 player in the world, and will be one of the leaders to win MVP next season. In 2023, he put up averages of 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists per game. He felt absolutely unstoppable, but he lacked help, as the Mavs went just 7-15 when he scored under 30 points. I don't know if I've ever seen a team be more reliant on a single player than the Mavs were last season, especially before they landed Kyrie. Having a better roster alongside him this season should help to take some of the pressure and workload off of Luka's shoulders. They want him at his best come playoff time because he is 100% the level of player that can lead a team to a championship. Luka currently has the 2nd highest scoring average in NBA history in the playoffs at 32.5 points per game, trailing only Michael Jordan. He's a dominant force and is on track to go down as one of the most talented players in the history of the sport. He's taken them to a conference finals with a subpar team, and this one should make going farther much easier. A huge part of making the job easier for Luka will be his new co-star in Kyrie Irving. I talked about the Mavs down the stretch of last season and said that Kyrie had looked like the best player on the team. There's very, very few players that can do that on a team with Luka, but Kyrie is that talented. With Dallas last season, he averaged 27 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds per game, with 51, 39, 95 shooting splits. His ability to fill it up with the efficiency he does is almost unheard of, and he is one of the most talented offensive players of all time. The biggest question with Kyrie will always be availability, because whether it's due to injuries or off-court decisions, he tends to miss a lot of time. When on the court, he can be a top 10 player in the league at his best, and if he's serious about contending with the Mavs, they'll have likely the most talented duo in the entire league. Then we should talk about free agent signee Grant Williams. He'll be placed in a larger role this season than ever before, is likely a full-time starter and the team's best defender. However, he'll be no stranger to big moments, as he was a key contributor on the Boston Celtics over the past couple years and has finals experience as well. He started 44 games over the past 2 years for Boston and was an important 3-and-D presence. I remember the Bucks decided to leave him open in the 2022 playoffs, and he ended their season. A lot of people don't like Grant for the same reasons they don't like Dillon Brooks. He's probably too confident for the level of player he is, isn't afraid to talk constantly, and can be kind of dirty. But he's the perfect player for this team. They needed toughness, defense, and more spacing, and he can provide all three. With a larger opportunity, he could become a 15-point and 7-rebound per game type of player. Then I think we should look at Josh Green. Personally, I'd say he should start over Tim Hardaway Jr. at the small forward spot. The 22-year-old wing is one of the team's best young pieces. He plays both ends of the floor, clamping up guards and wings while giving you some scoring and shooting on the other end. He had his best year yet last season, just his third in the league, with averages of 9 points and 3 rebounds per game while shooting 40% from 3. His improvement from deep has been incredible to see, as he shot just 16% from 3 in his rookie season. When Luka missed time, more pressure was put on Green to be a scoring threat. In 11 games without Doncic last season, Green averaged 16 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, while shooting 53% from the field. He could take another step for Dallas next season and give them 2 very good 3-and-D forwards in the starting 5. I want to take some time to talk about the rookie from last season, Jaden Hardy. I've been high on him from the beginning, even making a video calling him the steal of the 2022 NBA draft. I found it hard to believe that the number 2 recruit in high school deserved to fall all the way to the second round like he did after one underwhelming season with the G League Ignite, and I'd say I was proven right, because when given an opportunity, he proved he was an extremely talented scorer. In games where Hardy played at least 20 minutes, he averaged 19 points per game. His playtime in these games still wasn't even that of a typical NBA starter, yet he was scoring like a high-end starter would. His numbers are even crazier when you look at the G League, because he did spend some time there last season. He averaged 29 points per game while shooting 55% from the field and 49% from 3. For a player who fell down the draft due to efficiency concerns, I'd say that was more than good enough to make a statement. Then we have the debate over who should start at center. That will come down to 3 or 4 guys. The likely leading candidate is Dwight Powell, who has been the starting 5 for Dallas for a while now. However, at just 7 points and 4 rebounds per game last season, it's pretty clear he's a below-average starting 5. Then you look at a player they traded for and former Sacramento King Richaun Holmes. He fell out of the rotation last season, but in 2021 he played well, averaging 14 points and 8 rebounds per game. He didn't get the same opportunity after Sabonis arrived in Sacktown. The upside option would be 2023 lottery pick Derrick Lively. He was the number 1 ranked player in his class coming out of high school, but had a somewhat disappointing season at Duke. However, despite limited opportunity at 20 minutes a night, Lively still put up 2.5 blocks per game. He's going to be a very good rim protector and is a guy who could look better at the NBA level than he did in college. Maxi Kleber could start at the 5 for spacing, but it hasn't worked super well in the past. In terms of lineup, I'd say the starters will likely be Kyrie, Luka, Green, Williams, and Powell to start the season. The second unit should be Hardy, Seth Curry, who's an underrated addition by the way, Tim Hardaway Jr., Kleber, and Lively. Then Holmes, Omax, and Derrick Jones Jr. could get some minutes as well. So what should we expect from the Mavs in 2024? On the low end, they'd probably finish somewhere in the play-in tournament and fight for a playoff spot. But on the high end, the team could finish as a top 4 seed and have home court advantage going into the playoffs. And with Luka and Kyrie, they can make a run at the finals. Expect 2 All-Stars in Luka and Kyrie. Even if they're on the high end, it seems unlikely anyone else on the team would make the All-Star game. The team will be noticeably better on defense than they were at the end of last season, and the duo of Luka and Kyrie should be more in sync when it comes to clutch time of games. Jumps from young guys like Green and Hardy would be very helpful and make the team one of the more talented ones in the West. The Mavs are dangerous, and them getting doubted just makes them even more so. The Dallas Mavericks are about to shock the NBA. Thanks for watching. I'm Herm. Have a good one.